finally doing this.
I know, right?
You ready, girl?
I'm very ready.
You know who our first speaker is?
For our first season talk, Onica.
MEC today already.
No, let's keep it Onica Moloi. I think that will work better.
Okay. And there she is, beautiful Onica.
Hi! Hello! Long time!
Very long time, girl.
How are you?
And your hair too, baby.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
So nice. Now I'm gonna try it with which hand.
Please join us for our first picnic season talk.
This is cute, guys.
Yes,
Okay, this is a theme. I need the name of something, right?
No. We wanted it very authentic, so go for it, girl. Please have a seat in the middle. So excited about our first season of Queen Understand Your Season, and we're looking forward to hearing various stories, authentic stories. You can see we're very, very plain. We're keeping it real like that, and we don't want anybody who's going to try and fake. And I think that is why we've brought in Onica Moloi to join us today, because it's one of those women who have seen all her seasons, and she continues to show her power and her strength and the grace that she has during her various seasons. So maybe let's just get onto it. Who is Onica? So we've always been debating, do we say MEC, do we call her? Who is Onica?
Definitely not MEC.
For now.
Onica Moloi is a mother of 4. I've got 3 biological children and 1 stepson. And I've got a grandson as well.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and yes. Kinako kwa Kalushi, so. And I've been married for 12 years and divorced after 12 years. I've been in politics from the age of 19. I come from Seshego, so we've been in politics a little bit, Julia, at that time in our rap, years when we were still like very young. And I've been in politics all my life. And I'm a chef. It's something that many people don't know. They think because everybody now, when they want to get into business, but nobody chef. So I've been a chef. I went to a chef school in 1999 until 2002. I have a diploma. And then I went into the food space. I started to cater. Then when you are catering, people were like, no, don't you do decor? And then later on, I did decor. People said, don't you rent out furniture? I bought furniture. So then later on, then it was just a full, events management business that we've been doing a lot of things. We've cooked for mostly, President Zuma, President Mbeki, and all that. So we've cooked for many dignitaries. We've cooked for Anthony Hamilton, by the way, as well.
I know, right?
So yeah. So
very
I think that's basically. I normally struggle to answer that question because I don't know whether these are the answers that you're looking for. Because people want you to say, no, I've got this bank money in the bank account. I've been to this country. So I don't know. These are the kind of answers you're looking for. That's just basically me. This is what I do.
So what do you really think about our setup? Since you do decor and stuff, so what do you think about our setup, our picnic setup?
I must say it's very nice. The color coordination. It's very great. Some bit of rustic element into it. That's how you break pink.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and you didn't know that.
No,
okay.
Okay. For me, I think I'd love to understand, how did you get to the realization of who Onica is? Normally, we make that mistake of just thinking, "Hore, I'm a mom, so that defines who I am." So, how did you get to that level of understanding who you are, and as a result, start following or living according to your purpose?
Yeah, as your organization is about seasons. Like every season we get out of that season having appreciated who you are. That when I went, 2018 was a very difficult year for me as a person. That's a year when I resigned from active politics, from being an MEC. There was a big story that ran for almost 3 weeks because I woke up in the morning and I wrote a resignation, and people thought, you are the best MEC after Panyaza Lusuf in the country. What happened? And I woke up one morning and I realized that my kids needed me. My child had a son, and the son was very ill in the hospital, in the ICU for almost a month in an ICU. And I was going through a divorce. I went through 3 operations, in like four months in that short period of time, and a lot of things were happening. And one morning I woke up and I did not know who I was. And I didn't understand that. I woke up each morning. I work very hard to be an MEC, to be a best MEC. Am I the best mom? And I realized that I really need to go figure myself out.
Wow.
And that's when then I just, there's a lot going on in the province politically. There was a lot of character assassination and all that, social media, and there was just an attack on me. And it was also affecting my children because they are on social media. My mom is on social media, and everybody was just affected by me trying to be the best for everybody, And then that's one morning when I woke up and I say, what if I live? Is anybody gonna die? If anybody's gonna die, I'm my family. My mother will probably die of heart attack, and then and then that's when I realized that I need to just take a break from everything. I left social media for about 6 months because I needed to go. I felt like the world was just collapsing on me. And remember that time when that happened, when I was going through that season, nobody knew that I was in hospital. When I listen go Instagramming for 4 days, and you think maybe I was just too busy, so I was in a hospital. Nobody knew I was going through a divorce. Nobody knew that my grandson was in ICU. Nobody knew that my daughter was going through a depression. My kids going through a depression. So nobody knew that I had all these problems, because in the social space, when you are a leader, you always want to portray this I got together look. You're looking good, lashes and your brows and your hair, it's all good, but deep down you are dying. And then you can't
For me,
tell
I think
everybody
I'd love
because
to
many
understand,
people are
how did you
looking,
get to the realization of who Onica is?
to
Normally we
ask
make
for
that mistake of
solutions,
just thinking,
but
hooray,
why can't you
I'm a
tell them?
mom, so
That was
that
also
defines who I
why I'm
am.
asking,
So how did
why
you
do
get to that
always want
level of
portray
understanding who you
ourselves
are, and
as
as
life
a
is
result
good,
start
everything is
following
good,
or living
and
according to your purpose?
what if I told them that I was going through a divorce? No? What if I told them that I have a grandson who has got a lot of medical challenges? My grandson went through a kidney operation and a heart operation, like in 8 months of his birth. You can understand. So these are some of the things that you go through all at the same time. But you still have to go face the public and be scrutinized. I remember that season also, there was a very big story on the media that I ate money. Mapungube, there's one of the big festivals that happened back home. I ate money, and the story ran for 4 weeks in the Sunday papers. So you get to live all these things, and then you still have to go home and cook for your kids and do homework and be a best granny and also be a wife. Then you realize that no, this is too much.
So in summing all of that up, what would you say is the one thing, if I had to caption you right now and say your transition from everything that was happening, things are falling apart, and there you're looking for Onica, and one day you wake up and you're saying Kimang, or when all of these are removed, what becomes that one line that says how you survived that period?
Victory last preparation. Because in the Bible you read about the story of Joseph. That is the story that inspires me, that God had planned for Joseph to be the greatest man that we now read in the Bible. But he went through different seasons, going to jail, being accused of a rape that he didn't, being sold by his brothers. All those challenges led into him now ascending into power in Egypt, and sometimes when you go through these seasons, like where I am in the space that I am right now in life, like I've never been so content and being so happy and feeling so fulfilled and doing the things that I love each and every day of my life. And I always pause and say, what if I was still MSc, right? What if I was still at home? One of the decisions that I took in 2018, my kids always accuse me of that, Mama, you are such a random, because I behind the scene went to look for a house. We're still in Polokwane. And Ole was supposed to go do a heart operation on the 16th of December. So on the 5th of December, I signed a lease for us to move from Polokwane to Joburg. I've lived in Seshego all my life. I was born there. I even went to a college in Seshego. I worked in Polokwane and all that. Even when I was married, my ex-husband moved from Davidton and went to stay with us in Polokwane. So I was always in Polokwane. So you can imagine that. Then one morning I woke up and I said to my kids, we're moving to Joburg. But I did not oh, Mama, what are you talking about? And then on the 16th, the truck came and it parked. My mother was there. My mother cried because I still had, I was still healing from an operation, and my grandson was going to do an operation 2 days after that. So in my mind, I thought that, okay, for us to go to Joburg and stay for 2 weeks because he needs to be in and out of hospitals, let's leave. I couldn't believe I took that decision. Packed, the truck came, we took everything. Kids, they didn't even have schools. I said, and we moved here. I remember that was the worst Christmas, 2018. The Christmas was just 2 days. You was still having all this medication. Just woken up, from sedation. It was a very sad, we were very broke.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I didn't talk about, that I was an MEC, so I got a salary card. When I resigned, I was just an ordinary MPL. So I was earning something like 100K a month.
Yeah.
And then I was staying in the government home. I was sleeping in hotels.
So in
I was
summing
bought
all of
food
that
and
up,
lunch. So
what would you
I
say is
I
the
was
one
not
thing? If
spending
I
my
had
money.
to caption
so then
you
later on,
right
I
now
arrived
and
at
say
time when I had like 24
your
grand in my
transition
account,
from
month
everything
end.
that was
So
happening,
it didn't
things are
even
falling
cover
apart,
10% of the
and there
bills,
you're looking
you
for
know?
Onica,
And
and
that
one day
time
you
was
wake
like
up and
typically a
saying,
single parent.
Kimang, or
So
when all
we were
of
so
these are
broke that
removed,
I didn't
what becomes
even
that
have
one
the
line
money
that says
to pay for
how you survived
the deposit
that
for the
period?
rent. I remember we need to come here, we didn't have a car because I was using a state car for a long time that my Range Rover got broken. So I parked in a said Kitlaibona. So because I resigned very randomly, I then realized after the resignation that kinekolo, you know, and then I had to take the car to be fixed. They wanted 80K, I didn't have, and I'm like, Kitabona. Let me tell you one of the most beautiful stories that I always remember. I like labels. You see, I'm having Gucci shoes and all that. So the other day, I had to go to a meeting. I think that was like 3 weeks after I resigned. So I waited for this guy who I requested to come pick me up from my house at Seshego to town. That guy's phone was off. And I called a Taxify didn't arrive. So how am I going to go to town? My mother says, taxi, like public taxi, like taxi. So that day, I don't know, I felt poor. I felt very ashamed. I was an SMEC. I had protectors in a government camp. You know. Then I went into a taxi. So when I got there and then I set the bag, I even forgot, taxi in a lingo. How you know the taxi, how much? And then I had to ask her, guy. And I didn't know, I've not been in a taxi. I bought a car in 2003 and then it's 2018, so you can count the years. So 10 taxis are it's around 10. So it's an car. So it was like God was parading me. Like, look at her. She doesn't have a car, you guys. The person who was driven like month back. So he has an car, like it's trying to be full.
Yeah.
But you know what? One of the most, it was embarrassing at the moment. But later on, I laugh about is that I was, like my LV bag, and I had my Gucci sneakers, and I had my Rolex watch. Yeah. So I was in a taxi. So I could feel like I was sitting next to two Nigerian guys. Yeah. I could hear they were gossiping about me, but they were trying to speak in their language so that I can hear. But I could hear them saying something about Gucci and LV, that it's fake. There's no way. I mean, this lady's probably wearing around like how much in her body right now, and she's in a taxi. And those are the stories that time, they broke me, to say, wow, here am I, I'm broke, I don't have a car. I'm here, I'm just about to take my kids to a new place. I don't even know how we're going to pay rent in the next 2 months. And that time, I was living this glitz and glam life of, sleeping in Sensen and doing the diamond walk and all that, And then, then we came here. We started a event business, because I had closed my business when I went to full-time being MEC. So I closed my business because it started to suffer. So 4 years of doing active politics, 5 years maybe, actually before, because after they disbanded the Youth League of Julius Malema, they had us in. So I started to be very busy. I was a spokesperson at some point. So I said, event business also very tiring. Let me just take a break. So things just kind of collapsed and I closed the doors. And we were the biggest events business company back home, and we're doing business all over the country. So then when you come to Gauteng, then you realize that you don't know anybody, right? And one thing that I love and appreciate about God taught me a lesson. I knew everybody. I've got the president's numbers on my cell phone. Yeah. What are you talking about? I could call any MEC, and God withdrew all those connections. That time it was very painful because I thought, oh my God, I know people. It's about the MEC, the mayor. I know everybody. I know CEOs of status, I know. But trust me, like everybody just kind of withdrew. I'm not angry at those people now. I was then because I felt, wow, is this how people are going to behave? Now, like, they don't know me. They don't know. Yes, I started that rhetoric. And then that is so poor because God was taking me into a process that you cannot trust upon your own human ability, upon your connections and your strength, And we came here in Joburg, and the whole of 2019, I remember days when we didn't know how we were going to pay rent. By God's grace, rent was paid, school fees was paid.
So if we were to bring that into a season, since we're focusing on that, so would that have been your winter season? Would that have been the worst season of your life? Or was that part of your autumn where, you were just getting into?
I'm in autumn now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was worst winter, the Europe kind of winter. When on a Sunday like this, when my son got to National School of Arts, which was the best thing for about coming to Gauteng as well. So it was when on Sunday he's supposed to go to school every Sunday, come back home on a Friday. So there were Sundays when he needs the pocket money for 300 and I didn't have that money in my account. And the temptation of calling everybody that was on my, phone book. Like I knew, like I tell you, I know everybody, all the rich people in this country. But God always just still, voice, the Holy Spirit will say, stop depending upon your connections. And somehow there will just be a miracle. And I remember when I started with the juices. Yeah. Because God said to me.
And on that note, when I did press carrot juices, you know how we ran around looking for.
Oh my God, I feel snobbish right now. Thank you so much. This is very good, and I'll quickly tell about it. This saved us, guys. Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, because God said, when you asked, was it Moses, what do you have in your hands? And then I have a gift. I've been teaching people about healthy living. And then I've been showing people how to make juices on Instagram and smoothies. And God said, okay, go make juices and make money. Yeah. And 2 people will come and order juices. Yeah? And that will be, they were selling them 780. So if people order juices on a Friday, we deliver them on Sunday, it meant I had 1.6. Sure. For us, it will sustain us for petrol and then for kids' pocket money and for bread, right? And then later on, somebody will come and say, do you have like 50 chairs? I had chairs. Yeah. Then they'll come and they give us 5,000. What? 5,000 was a lot of money. For a person who used to have like thousands and thousands of saved money that I didn't know what to do with them. Like, that is a lot of money, And then later on, like, things just started to come together, Like, I cannot begin to explain. Like, things started like, events by Onica. I registered events by Onica. There was a time when I ordered 500 chairs from China. Like, then later on, he had big clients. Like, fast forward now, we've got big clients like PSL, Jacaranda, Netbank. We're doing Netbank Cup. I've got big clients that in my wildest dreams. I mean, for sure, only 1% of our clients is government. Sure. People that I thought that time that will be the ones that will say, I'll be doing government gala dinners of people that I thought I knew, but those are not there. Like, you get business from a CEO that you've never met, they don't even know you, but you arrive there and they appreciate your service.
So what becomes the lesson for summer? Now that you've been through your winter, you've been through, and you are in your spring where things are starting to pop, you're seeing the light, the trees are blooming. What is the lesson you're taking now when you're going to be in your full summer? Everything is just happening. How do you start preparing for other seasons? Because this thing, his season.
It's like a cycle.
And I'm glad that it's a cycle, it's a season, because there's a season, there's a time for everything. Yeah. And you must never, there's a verse in the Bible that do not underestimate your humble beginnings, because they will educate you and they'll train you to always remain humble and firm and understand that now, whatever amount of money that I can't disclose now that I have in my account, which is a lot of it, there was a day when I appreciated 780 in my account. Like, and then not 3 years back when I had a lot of money, like some months back, Like, if we could pay rent and it's the second and we paid rent, like, I would sleep in peace. If now would have 300 rand for pocket money, like, I would be, if guys, there was a day when I went to look for all my points, clicks, so that I can buy my grandson milk. Because I didn't have that 120. Sure. You understand? Sure. And milk we buy it in specific places. So my point here was that God took me through this process so that even when I'm in my summer, I'm in my plenty, I must never forget that there is winter. Yes. And when it comes, the colder the summer, the winter, the warmer the hotter the summer. And the hotter the summer, the colder the winter. So you must never expect that when you go through that summer and now you can afford that, like I went to Thailand and then after 3 weeks I went to Mauritius. These are the things that we had money to do if it was not for the coronavirus. but I didn't even think of, I couldn't even afford to take my kids to Hartebeers at some point.
Yeah.
So I've learned in the whole process that there's a time for everything. And when the time comes, when that plant that you don't see them during winter, it is busy developing strength, you know, to say the shine that you're gonna be, right? That snake, when it comes and hibernates during winter, when it comes, it is more brighter.
Yes.
You know, when I learned about the eagles, is that when the eagle faces a storm, it locks its wings and it doesn't shy away.
Yeah.
It faces a storm, and then when the storm comes, it takes it to the next level.
Yeah.
So the storms, what I learned about it is that it's just come to take us to the next level.
True.
You understand? So what you must just do about the storms, just embrace them. Lock the eagle, lock the wings.
Roots.
So lock your wings in that storm.
Yeah.
Like, and I did. Like when I opened my eyes, I'm like, oh my God.
Is this where you were taking me?
God, you know, like wow, you know, and that is what I can explain. That this is when God took us through that season. Our kids will cry through the night, and my kid will say, "Mama, it will be fine," and everything looked like it was collapsing. It was that season,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah,
I think what I want to understand more, especially hearing your story, is I know there's a lot of people who are going through their winter, for instance. What kept you going during your winter?
it's a promise. You know, God promised us a lot of things.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that He has promised us. He has promised us that He's gonna make me great.
Yeah.
And I've always been, my path, wherever I go, whether I go to church, whether I go to politics, God always make me shine.
Yeah.
And I've got that promise. And that is one thing that kept me going, that the vision and the plan of God about my life is so greater.
Yeah.
That whatever that I go through, it's preparing me for greater. You know, whatever that Joseph went through, God was preparing him to be the second in charge of Egypt, right? So God was preparing me to say that when I'm finally done with you, when I finally put you in the place where you are destined to be,
Yeah.
you're not going to believe it. And that is a message that I have, especially for women. You know, I think that women who've got more burden. That is why I always say women that are in politics, guys, we need to sympathize with them. Let's not be hard. Being in politics is very difficult in itself. That you still have to be a mother, and still have to be a wife. You still have to be, you know, a grandmother. You still have to be a daughter to your parents. So, one thing that I always, and I'm saying it now, is that embrace your season.
Yeah.
It is not there to kill you. It is not there to destroy you. Why today you were singing a song in church. It reminded me that what the enemy meant for evil.
Yeah.
When the whole media was feasting, the enemies were like, those who did not like the idea of being MEC, by the lady party. It's not a joke. People went and partied, but poster according to by the champagne. Somebody, I remember there was a very painful picture sharing of my picture. You know this picture that they put in offices by the camera dustbin. But look where she is today. She's not she had arrived. What. But what the enemy thought, it was for bad.
They didn't know. That was a story that is meant to be
That
glory.
we're going to be employees. We've employed people now. Like that God was just preparing us for a greater thing, you know.
Absolutely.
And now I'm more convinced than ever that okay, I'm gonna sound like I'm being a pastor on you guys. But one thing that I've realized, that at the end of Job, men who went through everything that I went through in life, at the end of it, in the beginning, the Bible says that Job was a God-fearing man.
Yeah.
But at the end, in Job 42, Job says, I've always heard about you. Can you be? That is when he went through all this thing that he went through. He says, I've always heard about you by the hearing of the ears. But now I have seen you with my own eyes. Wow. So that verse, it's very powerful in that. In the beginning, we read about this man who was God-fearing. On his son, he had arrived. When we come to God, he knew God, you understood. But it was when he was grilled, went to the fires and to the storms, I thought I knew God, guys. Let me tell you now about this God. And I think this is where I might been a Christian all my life. I know about challenges. I know about standing on the word. But trust me, I thought. But it was when now I went out of that storm, I say, wow, God. I even thought I knew myself.
Yeah. Until then.
If you would ask me if I could have overcome what I overcame in the past 2 years, I would probably say I would have died of depression.
Yeah.
I would have ended in a mental hospital. I never even a single day drank a depression pill in my whole life.
In fact, what I'm starting to identify with here is characteristics or characters of a person who's meant for greater things.
Yeah.
The one thing about it, and I think it's things that will always just continue to share, and I'm trying to simplify it for somebody who's watching. One of it is that the anointing is there. And how you know you're anointed is that it doesn't matter which office you find yourself in or which space. There's something that is always going to be unique. In fact, you will find you are either mostly liked or mostly hated, because there's something that's going to draw a certain level of attention towards yourself. And it's about how you address and you understand the power that you have as an anointed child of God. But you also know that you're going to go through serious attacks. Like Onica is saying, you go through these attacks and you find people celebrating your downfall. But like Job, and I like the fact that you quote Job, there's a scripture where he says, and I don't want to revenge on my enemy. So you never pray for it must go. No. You pray.
And the temptation.
And the temptation is there.
Especially on social media.
Yes.
You feel like you can just gloat. The Bible says don't gloat on your enemies. You feel like you can just say, you see me now, I'm in Thailand, I'm in Mauritius, here's my Gucci bag. You feel like you can just have a feast on them and show them, look at me now.
But the realization is that it was always God.
Yeah.
It was always God. And we've always been clear with the foundation is that we are centered around what the Bible says. Because show me a motivational book, all of it is centered around the word of God and how much it has carried us. So the fact that you understood the promise, because all of us have a promise. But you also know you have a promise if you understand who your God is. And if you're rooted in who your God is. So all of those things are interlinked because your divine purpose, you are living it right now. And what are your closing short? What is it that you'd want people to remember Onica by?
Two things. One thing, it's in the book of Luke, to whom much is given, much is required. If you just want to be a normal person, live your normal life, normal challenges, be normal, do normal, right? But if you want exceptionalism, accept exceptional challenges. Those ones that will give you, like, you feel like you're just about to die.
I know. I can relate.
I think we can all relate.
You can. Yes. So that's for me. Like, I've known that I'm given much, and much is going to be requested from me. And the second thing, there's one quote that I read from one woman that I love, Tsakani. She's a princess back home, Kambule. She said that life is like you're on stage. You only have this one opportunity to give it your best shot and get off the stage. There are no second takes on stage. Now we're on the stage. Oh my God, can you please edit? Oh God, cut. No, I want to cut more. See life like that. Live it your best. Live it your best. Wake up each morning and do the best that you can. If you have to look good, look your damn good. If you're gonna run an events business, run it so damn good. If you're gonna have a six-pack, have damn good six-pack. Speaking of six-pack, like you know that's.
Okay, let's not go for six-pack.
So we don't have second takes in life.
True.
Whatever you do, you have done it. If you feel that day is not gonna come, that minute is not gonna come, that hour is not gonna come, it's if you deal.
It's done.
So my word and my motivation, encouragement to every woman is that if a man is called to be a street sweeper, let him sweep street as Michelangelo painted. Let him sweep street as Shakespeare wrote poetry, and let him sweep streets as Beethoven composed music, right?
Wow.
And let him sweep streets so well that even the angels of heaven will pass and say,
wow,
there passed a great street sweeper who did his job excellently well.
And that's
so whether you're a poet, whether you're a singer, whether you're a chef, whether you are a videographer where you do movies, whether you're a domestic worker, do your job excellently well.
Wow. Oh, there's my two nunus.
Oh, look at
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Bye, guys. This is from us. Yeah. After this, so just have your wine. You're not gonna open this now, but we're hoping you're going to post and show off.
You know me with posting.
So this is from both of us with love. This
so
is from the
much.
foundation with
I'm
lots
gonna
of love.
cherish this.
And we're hoping every time you get to wear
gonna
these and you
cherish
show off, you
this.
can always remember that there's women out there who are just rooting and sending love your way all the time. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us for our first episode of Queen Understand Your Season. We hope we have shared enough information for you to take you through the next few days. Every time you forget how you can get yourself up or encourage yourself, please go back, listen to this interview, start appreciating all our women, and I'm sure you will do just fine. Till the next episode.